Welcome back to Wealth Mavericks, the podcast where we help doctors unlock the secrets to building generational wealth. And today we're talking about how to get organized, stay organized, and have more peace in your financial life.
Stop doing that behavior. Just change it. It just takes a little bit of intention behind this, and you can really shift things. Again, our goal is to help build peaceful wealth, not chaotic wealth.
I think first and foremost is really just having a list of what you have, meaning I have investment accounts, whether it's a 401k at my employer, old IRAs, life insurance policies, disability policies.
Hey guys, so today we're going to give our doctor listeners some practical tips for getting more organized in their financial life. We've been talking about how when a new member comes on with us, there's really two kinds of members. One who is clearly super organized and has all of their documents uploaded within a few hours or by the next day. And then there's those who we have to chase after, or they keep telling us like, I'm working on it. I just have to scan these things, or I have to track down these things. And it's like, I think that is what holds some people back from moving forward to make a change, to save on taxes, because it just seems overwhelming to them to have to put in the work. And so as our listeners are looking ahead to the new year, how can I do things differently? We thought we could give them some ways. So who wants to kick that off?
I think you already did. I don't, and this is not just a doctor thing, by the way. I think this is just a human thing. There are people who are very well organized when it comes to their financial life, and there are people who are disorganized. I have found that people who are disorganized, it feels more chaotic to them. It's like that saying, if you've heard it before, how you do anything is how you do everything. But this might be the exception. I know like very organized people who, for whatever reason, when it comes to money, there's something there to it for them. And I don't know if it's our upbringing or our mindset or whatever it might be. But creating a little bit of organization in this area, I believe, induces a lot of peace for people. So I'm excited to dive into this. By the way, I was one of those people. It was like everything financial was just all over until we decided as a family it's going to get in order. And it was really driven by my wife. And the thing that started it all off, actually, we were talking about this, Bob, earlier, but with like Dave Ramsey. There's a lot of organization that he can bring, like, although we don't necessarily agree with everything that Dave says, there's a lot of really good content that he has. And I think we had gone through a course or something that he did, and it was literally just like an accordion folder that just started everything for us. It just became this repository for really important documents. And I just want to give a little bit of credence to this, or just a little bit more oomph to it, is we started this journey about a week before we had an incident that I'll tell you about in a moment. But we took all of our important documents, like our marriage certificate, our, birth certificates, and, passports, and just like all the important documents around our life. And they all ended up in this accordion folder. And then our mortgage statement, stuff like that, it just started building up very quickly. Like it was just very easy to do. And we also were doing some other stuff, like making sure that we had enough water in case of an emergency, and food, and just basic stuff. And we literally put it all in like a big rubber tote, right? Like a 50-gallon, whatever it was. And it was just kind of the emergency tote. And literally a week later, there was a fire in Southern California, and we had to evacuate our house. And I watched all of our neighbors kind of panicking, and they're gathering stuff. We literally grabbed that one tote, put it in the back of our Suburban, and then with a level head, got to go through other things around the house rather than panicking and freaking out about these things. And so all of a sudden, it was like we, in the midst of true actual chaos and destruction, had a level head and were peaceful during that time. And I'm telling you, literally, we evacuated our house. We went to another one of our friends' house, and in the middle of the night, we got woken up because we had to evacuate their house. The fire had spread that far. And this family, we love them to death, but the husband was doing the dishes. He was like so out of sorts, like he was taking dishes out of the dishwasher and doing the dishes. We're like, what are you doing? We have to leave now. So I'm not saying that anything like that's going to happen, but I'm telling you, when you create organization around things, it allows for peace rather than chaos to reign.
Well, and we can't discount clean dishes, though. I mean, there is something powerful about that.
Yeah, when the fire's going to take it down, at least those dishes were clean.
Yeah, at least leave the water on the dishes just in case it could help put
Yeah.
out a little flame. Yeah, no, it's so true, and it's really interesting as we go through this process. Um, it is a mindset, to your point, Joe. It is a decision that the family has to make, because it's not just one of the spouses that really has to control this. I mean, it really has to be a both parties have to buy into this, because
Mhm.
both parties both parties are involved in the household as a family, in that decision to be or get more organized is really important. I went to a retreat, and one of the speakers was a kind of like the SWAT team for the sheriff's department in Orange County when
Mhm.
we used to live in Orange County. And he was talking about their training, and it was specific to the retreat, but it just kind of just stuck in my head, obviously, if I'm telling the story, that it just, one of the things he says, it's so important to be ready, because you waste time trying to get ready.
Right.
So you should always be on alert. And this is coming from a person whose career and day-to-day job is emergency situations that they have to react to. So
Mhm.
imagine if they all had to get ready, they all had to figure out, to your point, the tote, they all had to figure out, well, shoot, where's my bulletproof vest? Oh crap. Well, oh man, I'm not wearing the right boots, right? Doesn't make any sense. The
Mhm.
firemen is a great example. They have their suits right by the rig, so they just step into it, pull it on, jump in, and go.
Right.
Right. And sure, finances aren't that level of emergency, but aren't they? Based on your story, they could
Right.
be, right?
Right.
Getting taxes done. I have a client, longtime client, and God bless him, but he's not able to get out of his way, and he's a friend, but I've fired him a couple times because of my feeling that I have not been of help to him.
Hmm.
And it's not me, it's him. And it's my nice way of saying, dude, you gotta get your it together. Right.
Right.
And then I have said that, and he has acknowledged I do, but nothing has changed. But there are constantly issues that are in his life that continue to happen. And it's because those issues are due to his lack of organization. Right.
Right.
Even though he pays mortgage, it automatically comes out, he never checks it. And so if there's a glitch, because there are glitches, companies
Mhm.
update software and there are glitches, and all of a sudden after 5 months your mortgage payment's not paid, you get a notice in the mail saying they're going to foreclose on you. All of a sudden you're like, wait a second, well, what happens to your credit score? Gets
Mhm.
destroyed.
Just
Right.
because of an error that didn't
Just
go
because an error that wasn't your error, but you're not organized enough to catch their error. But it's your finances. It's not their
right.
problem. It's your problem.
So let's talk about like practical tips. And Bob, I'd love to hear from your perspective, like on finance and taxes and all of that. Like, what are the documents that need to be organized? But what I would encourage you, Doc, as you're listening to this episode, the exercise you can go through in your mind is pretend there's a fire coming towards your house and you're going to have to evacuate. What are the things that you know are important documents or important things that are needed, and put those into one place? Now, again, go buy a little accordion folder. You've got little tabs on them. You can put whatever you want in that. But that's a really easy to visualize exercise, is if I had to evacuate my house quickly, what is that emergency fire drill that I need to go through? What do I need to collect? So that's an easy place to start from. Just call it like important things, put them all in one place. But same thing applies to like all these documents and things like that. So Bob, when you're thinking about this financial organization for people, what would you recommend that people begin to do that, whether it's digitally on their computer, putting it all in one place, or physically, in their house in a folder?
Yeah. I think first and foremost is really just having a list of what you have. meaning I have investment accounts, whether it's a 401k at my employer, old IRAs, life insurance policies, disability policies, right? These are all things that you should have a list of, and you don't even really have to update the balances of them, right? Those
Hmm.
statements come, but really just from a basic organization, I have these. That's
Which
it.
almost nobody has. That's the crazy thing. That's one of the things that we do for our members. We call it asset mapping, but it's getting all of your assets onto one page. And I'm always surprised at how few people have ever seen that in their life, because everything is so disjointed. Aaron, I know you talk a lot about that, like, the hodgepodge of advisors that people collect. They've never seen all of their assets, their whole financial life, on one document like what we produce. So you can do that for yourself, though. You don't need to
Yeah.
wait to become a member at Terra Firma. Do this for yourself.
Yeah. And we do this because we found that these issues that our members have affect us in our planning.
Mm-hmm.
So we take control over that and make habits internally. So we have control of the process and we're able to fulfill the things that we say we're going to do. And so we've added various services like what you meant, the asset map, just a singular page. What do I have? And then we go through that. Why do you have this? Right? You set this up 10 years ago. Why? What's the purpose? Is it still valid today, that purpose? If not, maybe we should do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just a basic list of what I have. Also, really have like a tax box. It sounds silly and old school of having a shoebox or something like that. But, when you do donations throughout the year, or, you go to for the schools, right? And this was a big thing when our kids were younger, is you would buy supplies and donate to the school. Well, that's a deductible expense, right? But it's a Target receipt. Am I going to remember that in, next year when we're filing our, heck no. You just take that receipt, right? School supplies, boom, put it in that box, done. You can take a picture of it if you want, and there's apps. I'm just talking the very basics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you and your spouse know that there's a tax box in your home office or your bedroom or the sock drawer, wherever you want it. You just both know it. And then you just put receipts there,
Mm-hmm.
right? At the end of the year, if you want to get organized and help your CPA out, it would be nice to just kind of put it on an Excel spreadsheet, target, dollar amount, right? And just kind of go through it, just so it helps them out. But a lot of people don't do that. But at the end of the year, January, you start getting all your tax documents. So you get your 1098 from the mortgage companies, right? You get your 1099s, then you get your K1s, and a lot of that stuff now comes to you electronically. Some comes to you as paper. Where's all that going to be gathered,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you have a tax box, even if it comes electronically or in the mail, you just put it in there, done. And then that's what we do. And then what we do at the end of the year is we just take the whole box, we scan it in, or we just ship that box to our CPA. I don't recommend that, but we have a really good relationship, but it's all organized. Right?
Right.
It's all organized. I have all our W-2s. I have all our 1099s. I have all our K1s. I have all the necessary documents in order of what they're going to need. It's not a W-2, a couple receipts, a mortgage statement, everywhere where it's like, oh my goodness, I got to spend time. Right. But those are that's the absolute basics, right? And just kind of doing that. Now, if you don't want that box and you want to do it electronically, like Aaron had mentioned earlier, have a file on the folder, the laptop, or a shared Google Drive with you and your spouse, knowing that that's where all tax documents go, right? But for me, out of sight, out of mind. And so a lot of times I got so many things going on, like a lot of our members, I tend to forget that. But the box that's sitting in my home office that I go into every day, I take all my personal belongings and I put it on my desk. So I know if I ever get blind, I know where to go get my keys to drive the car. Just kidding. Stupid blind joke, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so that's the very basics, right? But here's to your point, the asset map, we do the same thing on the cash flow side, where members tend to spend money not knowing where all their money's at. And so what we'll do is we'll actually get the last 12 months And we do this in the beginning of the year so we can start planning for 2025, the next year, based on this recording, of what to expect as income needed for the lifestyle based on what happened last year, right? That actually happened. That was real numbers that went out of your checking account, right? Now, we create a personal financial statement that we're able to go through with them. So they'll see, oh, we've got a Hulu subscription, a Disney Plus, a Paramount Plus, we got Apple TV, we got Max. Holy cow, do you watch all those? Man, we don't even watch any TV. Well, there's $1,000 a month going out to streaming. And you may still have cable, right? That's $12,000 a year. If you're in a 37% tax bracket, think about that. That's $16,000 of your income going to something that you're not even using anymore. That $16,000, especially for our business owners, we can shift into tax planning and not have it be taxable. So that organization leads to what we do, right? But it's the very core, very basic habits that need to be started.
And I think that's the main thing is you need to make the decision, like in your mind, you need to shift your mindset and move to a place where you say, I'm no longer going to put this just in the black box where I don't think about it. I don't know anything about it, both with spending and all of your documentation. You've been comfortable for long enough living in that way. Stop doing that behavior. Just change it. It just takes a little bit of intention behind this, and you can really shift things. Again, our goal is to help build peaceful wealth, not chaotic wealth. And a lot of people that I know live in this world of chaotic wealth building. You know, so just be proactive. That's what matters.
Awesome. Thank you. So that's the best takeaway. It's making the decision, focus on it. It's so easy to ignore things that, oh, that's just too overwhelming, or, oh, I don't want to deal with it. Like Bob, when you're talking about the tax box, I think about how when I donate to Goodwill or a clothing drive, or like I'm always buying stuff for school, it's like, it's annoying. Like, do you want a receipt? Nah, I'm good. But it's like at the end of the year, how much am I leaving on the table just because I don't want to take the simple extra step of having a system? And so whether it's the accordion envelope or the file on your computer or the box, like just pick a system and start documenting these things so that when the time comes and you realize, oh, I've paid way too much in taxes again, or I've left all the charitable donations on the table, or whatever it is that keeps nagging at you, now you've taken the steps to make it easier to make a change in your life. So I think that's great advice. Doc, we hope you enjoyed this. We look forward to sharing more on our next episode. Hit subscribe, follow us on social media. We love sharing with you. And until next time, go be a wealth maverick.